Hey everyone, it's Jessie G here. Welcome back to another episode of Jessie's Hangout. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, hi, I am Jessie G. I am the host and creator of Jessie's Hangout. If you are interested in the type of content that I create for this channel, such as my 12 Facts of My Gaming with Jessie series that I do here and there, hit that red subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on Jessie's Hangout episodes, 12 Facts, and my gaming series as well. And also, coming soon is my new series that I'm going to be dropping on my second channel, the free gossip drop. I'm really excited for that. That will be dropping soon, so stay tuned for that one as well. Also, don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias. They're listed in the description box below this episode so you could keep up with everything and when I post for the free gossip drop on my second channel. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Also, do not forget to pause after the intro to Jessie's Hangout and read the opening credits, the disclaimer, and whatnot before the show starts. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Anyways, don't mind Jessie G being kind of goofy. But anyways, Queen Elizabeth Alexandria Mary Windsor was born on April the 21st, 1926. She was the first daughter born to Albert, Duke of York, and his lovely wife Elizabeth, Duchess of York. Albert is also known for being called King George VI of England. He was the father of Queen Elizabeth II. And her sister Margaret, who was born 5 years after Elizabeth. Even despite the fact of them being apart from each other, they had this really strong bond between each other even throughout the years. They've even had documentaries done about them and everything, so it's really interesting to see how their life unfolded after their father succeeded to the throne, or ascended to the throne, I should say. After Albert's brother Edward, King Edward of England, renounced his title as king and stepped down and married his beloved wife or interest or love interest, Wallis Simpson. There was a lot of people that were not for that marriage. There was a lot of people that did not like that. There was various reasons for that. You guys pretty much know the reasons for those. But yeah, her father succeeded to the throne and everything changed for Elizabeth. But before everything changed for Elizabeth, she had a fairly decent, normal childhood until her father became King George VI of England and everything changed. Her tutor, her schooling changed because she was going to be the one that was her father's successor to the throne after, if something were to ever happen to him, or if he ever passed of old age and whatnot. She would be the possible person that would succeed him after that. So her tutoring and her schooling were different than Margaret. Margaret pretty much kind of had a free life. She had a free life to be pretty much normal as much as she could be, but her life really wasn't. She was always in the spotlight for something, good or bad, and it drove Elizabeth II nuts. I'm just gonna say it. It drove her crazy. There was a lot of kerfuffle between the two of them over the years, but in a lot of ways they were sisters. They were close to each other. You know, regardless of what the crown was or anything, they were close to each other, at least from what we've known. But also they had their division and their opinions between things as well. Even when it came to Margaret's marriages as well, so there's that. Before Elizabeth succeeded to the throne after her father, she was a World War II mechanic. She worked on various military vehicles. She also was an ambulance driver, so she went to drive to where various soldiers that were wounded or people that were wounded. She took care of them or helped take care of them. She also traveled a lot when she married her first husband, her beloved Philip Philip Mountbatten of Greece and Denmark. When they met each other, Elizabeth was 13, he was 18, he was way older than she was, but they were friends. They kind of exchanged letters over the years, just kind of talking about relationships and about different things here and there, kid stuff and then adult stuff. And then it wasn't until Elizabeth, sometime in July of 1947 or 46. Let me see, I got my notes here. It wasn't until July 1947, at the age of 21 years old, Elizabeth II and Philip Mountbatten of Greece and Denmark announced their engagement to each other, to the world, to everybody. It was a really big thing, a really big wedding. It was very big. But there's something else I want to talk about before we go any further into that. What people don't realize is that Philip Mountbatten of Greece and Denmark had to do something very, very important, very, very extreme that would change his life forever. It changed him for who he was forever. He had to go through something that is very, very hard for anybody to go through, but in this situation, he really didn't see it as hard. He saw it as, he's marrying his beloved, he's marrying somebody he loves, he's marrying the Princess of England, he saw it that way. He didn't really see it as like a hurdle or an issue or anything like that. Philip Mountbatten had to renounce his Greece and Denmark titles as prince. Greece and Denmark, he had to renounce all of his titles from all foreign titles that he had to become Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. He was also the Knight of the Garter, and he also had another title. He was also an earl to one of the other small towns in England. And he also became Prince Royal during his wedding. Before his wedding, King George VI announced, I think was on the time that he had his new title, he was announced that if any children between Philip and Elizabeth, they would be given the permission and the granted permission, I should say, of having the titles of Prince and Princess Royal. So when King Charles III of England was born, and then his sister Anne followed, and then their brother Andrew and their brother Edward, they had 4 children together. They were notorious for being all over the place. There was a lot of things that went on with her children. She went through a lot of things with them, especially Prince Andrew, having affiliations with somebody that I will not name in this. He had affiliations with somebody who did something they weren't supposed to be doing, basically. Because of that affiliation, it affected his status, it affected everything, and it affected who he was as a person as well. So, that was pretty crazy. Over the years, Philip and Elizabeth traveled during their marriage. They had 4 children together, and it wasn't until her father had passed away from various health reasons at the age of 56, I'm assuming. Yeah. It was at the age of 56. He died on February the 6th, 1952. Elizabeth was in her 20s when she succeeded to the throne. She was her father's successor when she succeeded or ascended to the throne of England after her father's passing, again due to various health complications that he had from various habits he had. It just, sometimes it happens, and plus the stress of being a king, there was a lot of factors into that. He just had a lot of health problems, and that happens with a person like that. It just, we all have health issues. Sometimes we can overcome our health issues, sometimes we can't, and that was the case for King George VI of England. And when he passed, her mother became queen consort anymore. She became queen mother, and her her grandmother Mary was the grandmother queen, I should say, if that's how it works. She was still around when her granddaughter ascended to the throne of England. She was still around. They both were. It was a lot. It was a lot to take in. It was a big change for Philip. It was a big change for Elizabeth. It was like everything shifted. It was really their marriage had some rough times over the years of her between the two of them because of being the Queen of England and having things different and him having to learn how to do things differently, and just, it was crazy to say the least. Okay. There was a lot of rumors that went around during their marriage of them having issues outside of the marriage. There was a lot of things that went on. And Queen Elizabeth and Philip Mountbatten had been married for 76 years. That's a long time. And Elizabeth was also known to the world and to Great Britain to be one of Great Britain's most long-reigning monarchs in history. She ruled over England for 70 years. She died in her 90s, so did Philip. When the both of them passed away, their first son, Charles III of England, was their successor, was Elizabeth's successor, I should say. He was her successor to the throne. He succeeded to the throne after his mother's death. We all know about Charles and Diana through his marriages, what their marriage was. There are two sons, William and Henry, and the things that are going on right now between Meghan Markle and Henry, Prince Henry of England, and also between his brother and his sister-in-law. It's been a huge kerfuffle between all four of them, and even the king and the queen consort, which is Camilla. They married sometime, I think in the 2000s, or sometime a little bit after he had time to process Diana's death and everything. Also, I want to kind of point out that a lot of her children and a lot of people got married in different places. There was laws in England about divorces, so it was really complicated when it came to divorces between her children and between her sisters. So it was like a huge kerfuffle. It was like it was always plastered in the news or in the media or anything. It was just like it was all over the place. They were all over the place constantly. Even with Diana's death, when she finally made a speech and she went outside and saw all the flowers, there was a big, huge thing with Diana's death, which it should have been, and it was what it was, and I have no bad with that. Just saying. But anyways, she lived a pretty good life, but a pretty crazy life, to say the least. She went from being princess for so long. She went from being this normal, average kid who ran around on her bicycle, did normal kid things, to her father being the successor to his brother Edward to the throne, and her father becoming King George VI of England, to becoming a princess, and her sister becoming a princess. Them having to deal with a very different lifestyle, a very different way. Her parents and her family going through World War II and dealing with that, and then dealing also with the fact of his brother Edward, who married Wallis Simpson, and that marriage and that division that was going on between them, I should say, or that conflict, there we go. That conflict that was going on between them, and she lived through that. She lived through various different prime ministers. She's lived through catastrophes in England. She's lived through pretty much it all, it seems like. Even 9/11 in the U.S., even the death of President John F. Kennedy. She even met the Kennedys. It was said that she had met the Kennedys, and England, they both had met her, and his wife, Jackie, if I'm saying her name right, also met the Queen. She wasn't very fond of Jackie at first, but then when John F. Kennedy had passed and she saw what she was going through, she saw a very different side of Jackie, and she had a very, very deep respect for her and for what she was going through as a woman, as a widower, so she had this sort of respect for her, and she's went through that. She's went through all sorts of events in history, so it's really interesting to know that a queen of England or a monarch of England has reigned over England for 70 years, because Queen Elizabeth I reigned for 45 years, and then it just kind of got shorter as the years went on. But she was the longest reigning monarch in British history, and then it went Queen Elizabeth I. So the both of them reigned over England for quite a long time, but to be known for being the longest reigning monarch in British history, that says something right there, that's for sure. They did a huge memorial thing for when Queen Elizabeth passed. The Crown stopped filming for a while. There was a lot of silence. There was a lot of people remembering her, remembering the things, remember meeting her. Queen Elizabeth loved to act. She was known for loving to act. She made an appearance in the James Bond movie and Paddington Bear. She's also been known to be mocked or made fun of in cartoons here and there. She's been known to be in the spotlight for the good and for the bad reasons, really. She's been through a lot during her reign, and a lot of people have their opinions about her, especially the ones that have met her and everything. So she was a very interesting person to know, to learn about, to even know that she was the longest reigning monarch in British history. Like I said, it says a lot of things. And it's pretty cool, pretty mind-boggling, and pretty extraordinary, to say the least. Both of them were very extraordinary people. They were married her and Philip were married for as long as they were, and to be the strongest couple that they could be, even despite whatever problems they were going through, that says a lot too. It says that she was a very strong woman, a very opinionated strong woman, and Philip was a very strong man, a very opinionated strong man, even despite his relationship with his son Charles and the rest of his kids, and even despite what they were going through, and even despite what he was going through. It was just really crazy. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button and that notification bell, so you'll be notified as to when I upload videos in the future, and you guys don't miss out on anything fun, interesting, or exciting, or all of the above. And you don't miss out on 12 Facts, and also Gaming with Jessie as well. And, of course, Jessie's Hangout. But anyways, I hope you guys have an awesome afternoon, evening, day, or night, wherever you are listening or watching this from. And I will see you all in my next episode. Later.